Hey, fancy listeners. I'm honored that you took some time to tune in today, and I'm committed to sharing content with you that will make you glad you did. So, welcome to the Fancy Thoughts Podcast, a weekly podcast designed to give you perspective, insight, and encouragement to release the greatness inside of you. I want you to live fancy life, where you are fostering achievement, never compromising you, because someone is waiting for you. Well, fancy listeners, this is our very first episode, and I figured I should probably start with a bit of an intro. I recognize that for some, this is the very first time you've even heard of Fancy Thoughts or of me. And for others, it's been a while since you've heard of Fancy Thought. So, what is this all about? My name is Francesca Hampton, and I am the creator of Live Fancy Life. And fancy isn't just my nickname. It actually is the core of this business and these podcasts. Fancy means fostering achievement, never compromising you. And my desire is to help others to live a life where they are fostering achievement, but never compromising themselves. And as this business is getting off the ground, I wanted to still have an opportunity to share the purpose and the passion of that business. And so here we are with Fancy Thoughts. I started Fancy Thoughts in February of 2021, and I had a goal of sharing empowerment tips that help people realize there is greatness on the inside of them that needs to be released. My desire was then and still is to just share simple things that maybe you haven't thought about, haven't realized, or maybe you just forgot. Things that can help you take the next step into greatness for your life. Now, I'm not saying I have some brand new revelation, and there may be things that I say that you've heard before, but I'm confident that sharing these things and putting them in the right context, delivered and received at the right time, and acted upon even in small measures, can catapult you into releasing greatness. Because the truth really is, it's already on the inside of you. You just need to be bold enough and positioned to let it out. Now, just so you know, last year's Fancy Thoughts were delivered via Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and they are still available through all of those means, should you choose to go and listen to them. We were able to actually complete 21 episodes, with our last episode being completed on December 31st, 2021. I encourage you, take a listen if you're able, because I'm confident there's something in there for you. Now, if I'm honest, I allowed quite a few things to stop me from releasing more episodes last year. Because they were all video, I was quite self-conscious of my surroundings and my appearance, and I allowed that to stop me from recording some episodes. Also, I realized that not everyone is on social media, and not everyone watches videos on a consistent basis. That's why I'm so excited to bring these to you as podcasts this year. This allows me to be free and record when it works best for me, and it allows you to listen in the way and at the time that's most convenient for you. So with all that said, thank you for joining me on this journey, and I am so excited to hear how these will have made an impact in your life. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like or follow, so you know when any new content is published, and so we can help get the word out and let others know this content is available. And without further ado, let's get into our first podcast of 2022, Fancy Thoughts, Episode 1. Now, today I have two topics for us to talk about. Our first one is self-care and selfishness. Now, these two topics I think oftentimes are combined or misaligned, actually. So I really love words. I really love definitions. And so I want to start with what the definition of self-care is. And self-care is the practice of looking after one's own basic health needs or looking after one's own emotional well-being. And to be honest, we as a culture, and especially we as women, don't really practice self-care. We put ourselves on the back burner. We put our needs oftentimes as secondary, third-dairy, last-in-dairy. That's a new word for today, right? We put them behind because we think it's selfish. And the definition of selfish is chiefly concerned with one's own interest, advantage, especially to the total exclusion of the interest of others. Many times we think to take some time for ourselves, to separate or, pull ourselves away from all of the today's do's and don'ts or all of the task list that we have is selfish. To want to take a day away, a spa day in the middle of the week, that's selfish. What about everybody else? But I'm here to tell you that self-care is recommended and is mandatory, if I might say, in order for you to release greatness. Why? Because you have to take care of yourself. As much as we give out, again, especially as mothers or parents, I'm not going to say just mothers and fathers, as husbands and wives, as employers, as people, we give out so much, and we often don't take the necessary time for ourselves to recharge, to be rejuvenated, to be refreshed. And you cannot give from an empty cup, right? You cannot pour out more than what you have. And if you continue to run on scraps or on empty, you will burn yourself out, and your body will respond appropriately. Your body will begin to break down. Your body will begin to be sluggish or just not respond in the way that you used to. And it's screaming, it's crying out, telling you, I need a break. I need to refresh and recharge. And that doesn't mean that you have to take a 2-week vacation, although those are great. And when you can, you should absolutely plan to do so. But just taking some time to look after your own basic health needs and your own basic emotional well-being is crucial to being able to continue to do all the things that you currently do. And especially if you want to step into something new or finally fulfill the passion that you have been given. Now, part of self-care requires a bit of selfishness. And let me read to you a different definition of selfish. It means devoted to or caring for oneself. Now, the second half of selfishness is concerned primarily with one's own interests, regardless of others. And there are moments when you have to do that. There are moments when you have to say, I am devoted to caring for myself, regardless of all of the, mommy, can I? Honey, can you? Where are you with that on that report? You have to take a moment and say, in this moment, I prioritize myself. And that might be for 15 minutes. It might be for a half a day. It might be for a week. But if you don't do that, you will not be able to fully walk into everything that you have been designed to do and everything that you want to do. So we need to practice self-care with a bit of selfishness. Our second fancy thought is we need to not strive for perfection before progression. Dr. Darius Daniels said it best. He said, the goal is not perfection, it's progress. And I know we've talked about this once before, but this is a new year, so it bears repeating. But a lot of times we, and myself included, strive for perfection. We use that as the measuring stick or the goal of what we need to accomplish. It has to be perfect. And the problem with perfection is it doesn't leave room for mistakes. And how many of us truly know that our mistakes are often what we learn from more than our successes? Because when you mess something up and then you fix it, you learn how not to do it and you learn how to recover from mistakes. But oftentimes, I know for myself, being a recovering perfectionist, we think that it has to be exactly perfect in order for it to be successful, for it to have an impact, for it to be received. The problem with defining things by perfection is that perfection is subjective. What you think is perfect is not perfect to someone else. And so you are consistently striving for an arbitrary goal or an arbitrary mark of success that truly can never be received. You consistently put yourself in a position for disappointment, for overachieving or overworking, and basically you don't allow yourself to appreciate the things that may go wrong. The definition of progress is the process of gradually improving or getting nearer to achieving or completing something. That's what we need to strive for. We need to consistently be gradually improving. We need to consistently look for ways to do things better, to improve on what was even good before. And we need to keep moving so that we're getting nearer to achieving or completing something. That's the goal. The goal is I want to do my best and I want to continue to find ways to do it better. Not because I need to be perfect, but I want to do things in excellence. The way I look at it is always, it's not perfection that I'm striving for, it's excellence. But when we're in the middle of doing things, we can't be striving for perfection. We need to let our goal be progression. I will not stay where I am. I will consistently move forward and continue to improve. Not perfection, progression. Well, fancy listeners, that's a wrap to our first episode of Fancy Thoughts 2022. Remember, self-care with a little bit of selfishness. And our goal is not perfection, but progression. Thank you for joining us for the Fancy Thoughts podcast. I look forward to you tuning in again next week. And remember, you are well able, fully capable, and properly equipped to accomplish everything that you were created for. So go and make this week a great one.